Guys, welcome to a new video. Today we're going to react to who was the strongest in the Murder Time trio, featuring Insanity Sans. So I do think it's rather Killer Sans or Insanity, or maybe Horror, depending on the version. Because there are some where he's invincible, or at least like mostly immortal to most, not like Error Sans, but like mostly immortal, right? Because to kill him you have to destroy his eye in the core, but I don't know if that's all versions. But Killer Sans has enough determination to where if it's any of a monster, there's less determination. It's a free win. But let's get into it.
Is a gathering of dust, horror, and killer. They usually operate in some squad or trio, but we never get to see them fight each other. But if they did have a free-for-all, then who would win?
Insanity Sans or Killer Sans.
Insanity Sans has had a pretty long history ever since its making. He was originally made by Zero Dantiro, with his first appearance being about his theme song. Insanity was given light by a series called The Villain Sans Squad, and it's sad to see what the creator did. Generally thought he was a normal person. Holy shit, bro, why is everyone in this fandom weird? Zero Dantiro didn't care about it more, so he moved it to a guy named Why did I stutter, bro? He moved it to a guy named Cosmetic Cloud, and Cosmetic Cloud didn't want it, so he moved it to UTF. I didn't really include everything, but that's basically the story of it. So Insanity's attack is the same as his defense, meaning his attack potency should scale to his durability. Insanity was able to survive getting sent through the front room to the last corridor by Asgore, with it destroying parts of the corridor wall in the process. Calculations have this at large building, with Insanity scaling to it in AP and durability. For speed, he can attack first faster than they can react, granting him subsonic combat and attack speed, since he mainly uses bones and melee. For hacks, since Insanity has determination, he can save, load, reset, and erase. Saving and loading
Also is more than Killer Sans, probably.
Is weird for cross-verse matchups like this, since it depends on who's more determined than the other. So I'm gonna take save and load away just to avoid confusion. But on the erase part, you can use this to say he has an existence erasure. And it's stated that he can erase timelines since he has determination. And it's more described to be some weird ability, so yeah, it's consistent. Oh yeah, he can also resist existence erasure, so
also has existence erasure, but it's like after death, the timelines delete when medicine dies, so Insanity is cooked. Insanity Sans still kills murder first, as since he has more HP, he can technically persist. That ensures that he's technically a player character. Yeah, I guess you could say that. And can persist erasure in his own timeline.
So that's cool too. He can also resist death and take attacks that should have killed him, but it's only like one attack, so it's not that.
How dare anyone like compliment Undying here.
Useful. Oh, I almost forgot to mention hard mode Insanity, but this form only happens when Insanity gets angry. In this form, his soul explodes out of his body due to the amount of power. Assuming this is a 2x amp due to the description, he should get to large building plus, or maybe even city block level. Oh yeah, and higher into subsonic. For stamina, his determination also gave him infinite magic potential, so maybe infinite stamina, I don't know, but it is consistent.
Probably.
So Insanity is large building to city block level with subsonic combat and attack speed. And due to determination, he has infinite stamina, along with existence erasure and the ability to resist death. Man, Insanity really went from a UOB victim to city block level. Let's move on to Murder Sans.
I guess it could also go down to intelligence.
Dusttail is 9 years old now. Yes, 9 years old. And he's gotten many takes and AUs around this one singular alternate timeline. It originally started as some Reddit and Tumblr posts, but then someone made 2 themes of it, and Murder Sans slowly started becoming mainstream. But with all the canon content he has, how strong was Murder Sans?
It depends which version though. Because there's a lot of like if you're counting like the original, I don't know how strong he is, but I guess it just depends on which version.
Now I'm gonna start with IQ and battle IQ since it gives Murder a pretty big advantage in this fight. He
Yeah.
always plans ahead and he's constantly calculating his actions. He's nearly mastered himself and he's as good at melee combat as the human, which is the same human who's been through 7 to 100 resets. A similar thing happens in the novels where the human has statements of doing the genocide route hundreds of times, yet they're still forced to get adjusted to Murder's attacks. He also keeps distance from people he's wary of, as well as have Phantom Papyrus gather information for him.
Yeah. Well, that's actually smart. Also, can't Phantom Papyrus attack? Because in the fan game it shows him attacking the player, meaning... And the player can't kill him. Now that could mean he's like a ghost type monster where only magic attacks can kill him, like Napster Baluk. But... Still, you could just find the air and attack from the sky.
Lastly, he knows the game system and he destroys save points and other things that favor humans. Murder is even able to make save points lose function by giving the human terrible memories or destroying certain places. So his IQ and battle IQ is pretty good, but let's get into attack potency. To be honest,
That won't work on Killer Sans or Insanity Sans, if I'm getting it right. Because Insanity Sans is so insane, he probably doesn't even understand what he's doing.
Murder Sans' scaling is just annoying to do in general, so I'm just gonna do a quick and simple scale for him. For standard stuff, he shattered the Ruins door with his Gaster Blaster. He also scales above Undyne, who can destroy cliffs. And lastly, he destroyed the whole lab with his blasters. Given the size of the lab and everything in it, this feat should get to large building. And he seemingly tanked the lab destruction, so his durability should scale to it. Problem is, his bone attacks and normal attacks don't scale to his blasters. And the best he has is barely blocking Undyne spears, so his bones should be like wall to small building, but basically featless in physicals. So in AP, Murder scales to small building to large building. Murder in the building level ranges is pretty consistent for him, so let's get into speed. Murder Sans is featless in speed. There is literally no feat that scales him above average human. He has light speed blasters, but you can easily just aim dodge them. I don't have much to say because there's not really much to go off of, so I'm just gonna go to the hacks.
I mean, do you count teleporting as moving? Well, then again, everyone would, then all the Sans would be able to do it, but teleporting is a form of movement, I guess.
Section. Murder doesn't really have that much hacks other than like standard Sans attacks, but he still has KR, but that's not gonna be useful. I don't know why people mention it. He doesn't really have a...
I guess I may be thinking that because Killer Sans and Insanity Sans killed a lot, that KR would be multiplied to the point where it would be an instant kill. Maybe? That would make sense. It also makes sense that Dust Sans would have KR still.
Have amazing stamina since he suffers from fatigue, and he usually sleeps and takes breaks in the novels, so I'm gonna just put it at average human. Murder Sans isn't really all that in power, but he is pretty well written unlike the canon one. I'd put him at B tier in writing, honestly. But this isn't a writing analysis video, it's a scaling video. And in conclusion, Murder Sans is small to large building with average human levels of speed. His IQ and battle IQ are pretty good for his Sans AU, but he only has standard Sans attacks. Honestly, Murder Sans gets over.
So, I don't think this is the one where he gets the attacks of, he gets the attacks of other monsters done.
Glaze, so I'm gonna move on to horror.
But this one is... How will this one work? Is he gonna do the one where if you don't destroy his eye, he's practically immortal, or is he just gonna, I don't know, rule out that?
Horror Sans is a pretty well-written character, and I'd put him at B tier along with Murder Sans. And fortunately, he's gotten pretty popular in the fandom due to games and comics. Horror Sans is pretty underrated in his scaling though. Starting with his AP, his floor on Bone Zone...
I think it's because... I think Horror Tales, like, not as popular because of the creator of it. I don't want to get into it, I've seen a video about it. If you want to know more, just search up Horror Tale and it should show up. Or someone in the comments can show you the video, I don't know. So let's send you a link to the video. But the creator did stuff they probably shouldn't have. Don't want to get into it. But yeah, that's...
was able to destroy the core.
Wait, is that like... That would actually mean that his bones are nearly as big as the core. Way more than... Also, the bones imply there was more than the core. to the core than his magic.
With his singular bones being able to pierce it. His eye was even able to power the whole core, making his building to large building scaling even more consistent. So Horror's singular bones should be building, while his eye and overall bone zone amp him to large building. There's a calc that gets Horror to multi-city block, but it would be pretty tedious trying to fit everything on the screen. So I'll just link it in the description if you want to see it. Unlike Murder, Horror actually has speed feats. He's able to blitz Eliza on multiple occasions. Even in the comics, he blitzes her and makes her fall into blue snow. And he does it again despite being a
And Horrortail is intelligent, even though he technically had a lobotomy.
Feet away, and all of this makes Subsonic Horror surprisingly consistent. Now, in earlier videos, I said Horror was featless in durability, but that's not the case at all. He survives an attack from Papyrus who's comparable to Undyne, the same Undyne who can break Sans' building level bone attacks, and the same Undyne who tanked an attack from him. All of this goes back to Sans making his durability building level. Undyne also trusts her guards to kill anyone who rebels, so her guards should be in that building level scaling as well. And funnily enough, Horror survives attacks for them. So yeah, building level. For stamina, he was able to fight Undyne even after being sleep deprived and injured by the guards. He collapsed due to this and got his eye and a quarter of his head removed, but came back and killed 2 other guards and destroyed the core. He then somehow found the time to lobotomize Alphys,
which was deserved, by the way. I honestly think all of what Horror Sans did was deserved. I'm not going to talk about it much, but I think it was deserved. No one, and I mean no one, should have to be unwilling, right? I don't care if it could have saved the underground, right? But he didn't want to. And I'm not going to get into the fact that, do you sacrifice one life for everyone else's? No, you don't. You don't do that. If you're going to go out, well, think of it like this. If, let's say, all monster kind was to die, at least then they would die knowing they did was right and not basically giving Sans a lobotomy. And how do they not expect Sans to fight back? I know I'm going to say sounds selfish here, but if I was in Sans' position, I would do much worse than this. Like, again, I would, if I was Sans, I would go to the souls and destroy them if they wasn't destroyed already. I mean, I know they were gone by the time that Horrortail existed, but, you know, if I was Sans in that position, I would go on a rampage. Just out of pure rage. Like, I get it, right? But there was another way. I'm pretty sure in the comics, Sans is going to rebuild the core. Or at least attempt to. He had the blueprints, didn't he? He could have rebuilt the core, but no. Undying was, you know, little bit too, impatient. I mean, yes, if it comes down to lives, but so what if a few hundred people die? You haven't sacrificed Sans. And I'm not technically saying Sans' life is worth 100, but if you think about it, Sans is more intelligent than the average monster, so he could be more worth saving. But also, Alphys kind of did deserve it, as Alphys put the thought in Undying's mind, so she's technically the cause.
Alphys and teleport back to Snowdin to deliver a speech. This was all when he was sleep deprived, by the way, so I think his stamina speaks for itself. Other than the standard Sans moveset, Horror has pretty decent hacks. He's able to reflect attacks and explode heads. The exploding heads part is debatable since he never uses this again, and he wasn't even aware of what was happening. But the attack reflection part is just
That could be because he was so angry, because when you're angry, you don't really think. And if you don't think, you're not likely to have remembered it.
Because not much people shoot ranged attacks at Horror Sans, so it makes sense on why he doesn't use it much. For IQ, he's able to come up with solutions to restoring the core, even possessing insider information about it and making multiple calculations to restore it. So overall, Horror is building
even more reason why Undying was dumb for literally ending all of monster kind. Also, his eye wouldn't be able to power it for that long. Even if it did, it wouldn't be able to power it for that long. It would eventually shut down again. Depending on if it's using fuel, but that doesn't matter. The fact is, there was another way. That would have cost more lives, but look now. Look at the damage now. Is this any better? if you think about it, right, if you calculate how much deaths happen because Undying, you know, not killed, but lobotomized Sans, it's gonna rack up more than if Sans just rebuilt the core. Hell, he would have an easier job because he could use his Gaster Blaster to pick parts up and try and put them back together. They could act as like drones in a way.
Building to large building with subsonic speeds. He can reflect attacks and his IQ should be above average human to maybe gifted. So for some Sans AU, Horror Sans is pretty strong.
Also, Undying looks so dumb here.
But let's move on to Killer Sans.
With Kara or without Kara? Like, are we, like, is he going to add Kara to the mix? Or not? Because I don't know if that would be fair.
In my opinion, Killer Sans is A tier writing wise. His origin and execution always felt unique and creative to me. If you want to know why I'm saying this, go watch this video because I'm really proud of it. Anyways, Killer is canon to Dreamtail lore, so we can use Dreamtail feats to scale Killer. Killer was able to be Dream Sans who can punch others to the moon. This moon feat was calced to small town level, but you can get Dream to town level since he's able to fight Nightmare Sans. The same Nightmare who destroyed the surroundings of Tree, which was calced to town level. With all of this upscaling Killer as well. For speed, he's able to blitz other monsters and he can make shockwaves. So Killer should be subsonic to transonic. For hacks, I took save and load away from its Sandy for obvious reasons, so it's only fair to remove it from Killer. But other than that, he pretty much has standard Sans attacks and a cool blaster.
Okay, so this isn't gonna be like they can just load a diff. Okay.
In IQ and battle IQ, I generally thought Killer was going to be average human or something like that. But no, Killer has seen thousands of resets. He's attacked many AUs to boost Nightmare's negativity. And he's aware of AU rules as well as the player's view in said AU. Please pause to read because not even Nightmare knows about this. The same Nightmare who's as old as time itself. So Killer is pretty well knowledgeable in general, but what about stamina? Well, Killer throughout something new has shown no sign of fatigue at all. And he doesn't even sleep, meaning he should have infinite stamina or at least extremely high amount.
Could be because of determination.
Of it. So in conclusion, Killer is small town to town level with subsonic to transonic speeds. His IQ is gifted and he has broader knowledge on higher beings in general. And he has infinite stamina. You can get Killer to universal with a lot of scans, but I'm gonna save them for another video. And I want this matchup to be more grounded for everyone so it doesn't feel like an absolute stomp. So between these four, who would win in a free-for-all? Well, honestly, it would be hard to say because there's multiple outcomes to this. So I'm gonna try to accurately show how the fight would go. Murder, Horror, and Killer will have a standoff waiting for someone to make the first move. Murder teleports away along with Horror stepping back due to Insanity lunging towards Killer due to his LV. Insanity will proceed to punch Killer into new home and that's how the fight would start. Now Killer would be caught off guard due to Insanity not being predictable in general, but he's still low dis Insanity due to the AP and speed difference. Insanity gets angry about this and transforms into hard mode Insanity. Sadly, hard mode wouldn't significantly buff Insanity to Killer's level, so he still gets low diff. Murder would teleport back to the last corridor after that interruption and attack Horror. Now Murder would definitely outsmart Horror due to having better
and not being lobotomized. I hate to always bring this up, but chances are whatever's in his skull was hit.
battle IQ, but he'd still have trouble hitting him in general, and he has a major disadvantage in hack since Horror can reflect his attacks. Murder has significantly lower stamina than Horror, so Horror can just outlast Murder too. Horror also has a huge range advantage, so he get overwhelm Murder with his bone attacks. Even if Murder gets blessed by some miracle, he'd still have to destroy his eye, since his eye is what's keeping him alive. And Horror just has all around better AP than Murder since Murder can only get to large building with his blasters. Overall, Horror wins with low to mid difficulty, but how would he face Killer Sans? Well, Horror wouldn't let him get close since he knows he would instantly die if that happens.
Wait, Horror Sans is blue magic? I thought he lost that with his eye. Also, another question, why can't Horror Sans just get his eye back? If it's literally just sitting there somewhere, can't he just get it back? Or would that kill him because he's technically somewhat immortal with it being gone?
And since Killer doesn't really have any travel speed feats, he wouldn't have a way of speeding towards Horror. So how would Killer win? Simple. Remember when Killer made that shockwave? Well, Killer can just make another shockwave towards Horror, blitzing him entirely. Killer has more win content than this since he can just shoot any bone at him and Horror wouldn't be able to react to it. Killer Sans wins with low to mid difficulty.
I mean, yeah, I can actually see that. I mean, would it be any different if Killer could save and load with Insanity being able to too? I don't know which one would have more determination, but would that even end up any different, or would it end up with one of them just completely destroying everyone else? Because Dustin should be able to remember resets, or at least most get deja vu, and he should be able to use that. But with that, I think the video's over.
I wanted to cancel this video for a while because no matter how you downplay Killer, he's still gonna be busted regardless. And no matter how you overhype Murder, he's still gonna be fodder. Insanity has no IQ and he doesn't even have any feats, just pure statements. So I could be wrong on Insanity for all I know. Horror is fine because he actually has feats and supporting statements to go off of. So I'm not gonna complain about him. But yeah, that's...
Yeah, I mean, the problem with feats, again, is... I mean, I'm sure there are some out there, but... I get that. But aren't statements enough? At least if you read the lore, not the fandom.
That's about it. Make sure to stay safe and goodbye.
Because you can use statements to understand the character. Feats are good, I know, but you can use statements too. But with that, goodbye.